Yo, welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. This is Geeky Bros Reviews. My name is Tactix.
Yo, just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How y'all doing today?
Good. We're right beside you now.
I know.
It's different.
It is weird.
It's different in person.
Yeah. So we just watched Black Adam, and we're doing another right out of the theater review. So we're gonna just this is gonna be spoiler free because we already spoiled it in our actual podcast.
Yes, we did.
So we're gonna. This is my second time, first time for these guys. So, T, what did you think?
So I liked it. I went in with super low expectations, so I wasn't really expecting this movie to be spectacular. And in terms of the storyline, it wasn't. But the action delivered. One issue I really had with the action scenes though is the endless slow-mo. Like it was just overdone, overplayed,
Unending.
and it kind of took me out of the action scenes a little bit. So yeah, that kind of bothered me. The Rock is The Rock. He's the same in almost every movie. So I mean, it's to be expected. You either like him or you don't. I enjoy The Rock for what he is and what he does and what he brings to the movies. So yeah, it was okay. You know, it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was.
What would you give it out of 10?
You know what? I'm teetering between like a 6.8 to like 7, like a low 7.
Yeah, those decimals, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's all about his fractions. I don't understand it, but you know.
Again, the storyline is trash. This just not, it's not there. But considering that this is a DC film, I wasn't expecting a great story. I just wanted to be entertained, and for the most part, I was. And the end credit scene, even though it was ruined for me personally, it still delivered. It's got me intrigued, and I'm glad to see a certain someone come back.
All right. So, Darce.
All right, and we're going to do a little switcheroo on a hand-to-hand here because my arms, they're tired. So, I'll start off with my rating. It's a 7 out of 10. I surprisingly enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. So, I was expecting to think it was going to be a 5 out of 10, but ended up, so, Tactix is saying, storyline is trash. Dialogue is as basic as you can get most of the time. The end final boss scene, the dialogue that villain had was like hella pathetic.
Like Power Rangers level.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. 100%. It was like if it was Power Rangers television show, but taking itself way seriously, thinking it was making a point. And there's also certain characters, people of the younger variety that you kind of wished would die because they're annoying. But that's my negatives. The positives is that the action is pretty dope. Like there was I know that the film was originally cut at a rated R level, and then they ended up like trying to make it a PG-13. And they did a lot of things where, like I was saying to T when we come to the theater, it's like, well, we could put blood in the scene, or because there's fire and electricity, we'll just singe that off. So PG-13, that's the kind of vibe. But
No, that's 100% true.
But there is a lot of violence in there that you would be surprised, even from a DC level. You ain't gonna see it in a Marvel like film. And
Marvel's not going to touch that for a while.
It was definitely, it was like getting closer to Deadpool in terms of violence levels, and that was exciting. It was just badass fights, and there was, even though it was, there was something in the story that I liked. It's just I wish that it was a better story to actually give more life to it. But it did bring up a good dialogue about how the heroes just show up when a big bad superpower person shows up, but they don't show up to save people when they're oppressed for 20, 30, 40 years or whatever. They only show up when it's a big bad. And I like that dialogue that they were having in there. Of course, it certainly wasn't flushed out because it was a basic storyline. So that's the one thing that I like, if they would show more of that in the DC EU, if as we grow it.
Like,
so
expand on it.
Yeah, expand on that concept, because it's
interesting.
It really made me feel like the anti-hero in the story's viewpoint, and it made me think that the hero's viewpoint was flawed. That heroes just being altruistic isn't correct, and that actually made me think that while watching the film. and then it went back to being dumb right afterwards. So, it is what it is. So, yeah, but overall, 7 out of 10 for me because the fight scenes were dope. So,
Here, let me help
Sorry,
you out.
can we move forward just a little bit? It smells a little bit like sewer water.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, sounds good.
So, all right. I will say that I hated the movie. It was a 4.5 out of 10 for me. So The Rock has been trying to get this movie made for about 15 years, and you can tell because
I'm gonna take his back. He ain't got the steady cam hands,
Sorry.
and I can tell y'all getting dizzy. So,
sorry, so like The Rock, the last 15 years, you can tell because like the script hasn't changed in 15 years. Basically, whatever they had written 15 years ago when it first started, wow, that thing is like,
You smell it, right?
yeah,
It's not just me. Okay.
Yeah. I'll be quick because like we next to sewage. Ridiculous script. Poorly written, as everyone's saying. The Rock is literally the only thing I enjoyed about this, aside from Pierce Brosnan's Kent Nelson as Dr. Fate. Also, the actor and also like Carter Hall / Hawkman, that was done relatively decently.
Yo, that man got his ass whooped the entire film.
But yes,
Spoiler.
because the thing is, he's never supposed to be a big hitter, especially when it comes to Black Adam. So like,
Yeah, legit.
what was him being like tossed around made sense. But aside from those three, literally the only three things that I actually liked, and also Viola Davis as Waller. Like, you can't go wrong with Waller.
yeah, of course.
But like, she was in it for literally a minute and a half.
Hella random.
Hella random
Yeah.
too. But like, this movie is dumb fucking shit. Which I was expecting bad, and it was dumber than I expected. So that that was unfortunate.
Dumb as hell.
It was, it was
Yeah.
dumb as hell. The action sequences almost had me, but as T brought up, the slow motions took away from the action sequences, which was the main draw for me. So I was like, why you gotta take that away from me?
I think I don't mind slow motion as much as you guys do. It definitely was a lot.
It
but
was too
I liked it in the
much.
beginning, but they just
But
oversaturated.
it was
the
like
entire
literally
film with
like every other scene had a slow motion moment, and it wasn't just like briefly, it was like multiple times per action sequence. I'm like, can I just see these guys die and not have to have them go, "Argh."
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when The Rock first shows up, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like that scene, it was cool in that,
Yes.
and I would have been good if they had just left
Left
it
it
like
there.
that.
Yeah,
But
it
then
was
just-
because there was a good way to explain how powerful he was
Yes.
by the fact that you could see that he moves and thinks as fast as
Right.
well. He's
Yes.
basically Superman.
Yeah.
He thinks he moves
Yes.
as fast as the Flash. He's as powerful as Superman in power
They're
and
comparable,
vulnerable.
yeah.
And then he has lightning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And so like those things were fine, but then it's just non-stop over the top.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that like I was frustrated with my comic book lore, and I'll say that's probably what took an extra point and a half for me. It's like I would have been like a 5 if it wasn't like, or a 5.5 if it
that,
was
like that makes a big difference.
But like it's clear The Rock doesn't know who Black Adam is, and was like, hey, I'm just gonna like make a movie where I can still be the hero and also see it be a badass.
I'm gonna give The Rock credit. He probably does know what the comic books is, but his contracts require certain things in films, and therefore, stories gotta change.
I guess, but then it's not black. Whatever. I'm like, I just also they stole so much from literally everything over the last 10 years. There was nothing original about this, which was frustrating because they had a lot of room to be original, especially in action sequences more. And I was like, that was kind of what I was hoping for. I wanted The Rock to be like, no, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. Like Darcy was saying about the killing thing, I was all on board for it. I'm like, you know what? Good for you. At least you're doing that much. But yeah, 4.5 out of me. It's some bullshit, but like whatever.
So before we wrap up, I got a challenge for you since you know the most out of all of us about Black Adam. If you could rewrite the script, how would you write that movie?
I would write
No,
it.
well, now we
Oh.
can save it for.
Done,
I don't wanna spoil
Thank
it.
goodness, my
Yeah.
arm. I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, not right now. That's a next
No,
week on
no,
the
next-
podcast.
yeah.
Next week on the
We
podcast.
obviously can't
Yeah,
spoil it, right?
we go and talk about this in the podcast next week. So yeah, 4.5, 7, and 6.5, 6.8, 6.8. All right.
Yeah, like rounding math we need over here.
So let us know what you think.
All right, peace, y'all.